Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Dead Mauled, Issue 1. This is a 2022 miniseries from Dark Horse, written by Adam Cesare, illustrated by David Stoll, lettered by Justin Birch, cover art by David Stoll, ed by Brett Israel and Chantal LaRoque, assistant editor Sanjay Dharawat. So these 5 kids are breaking into an abandoned mall, and they brought some beer with them. Of course, they're kind of generic. We've got like the slacker loser kid, the cool jock and his girlfriend, this kind of slutty looking chick, and then the girl that doesn't want to be there and is scared of everything. So they hang out and drink some beers before going exploring, but something's not quite right. There's somebody else in there and they quickly figure that out, but as soon as they try and escape, things go horribly wrong and they start seeing what appear to be monsters, and they are under siege immediately. Now, unfortunately, this reads much like a movie script that didn't get made. The concept's fine, it's interesting, and it could be really good. But there are some problems here. One, the characters are incredibly generic, even beyond regular horror film scenarios. I don't even remember anybody's name except Beth. And she's the one that, oh, we gotta leave, I'm gonna be late. The bad guy that we saw in here early on with his face all sewn up, he was pretty scary looking, but everything else is kind of in shadow. And we do have a narrator who's unseen, and I think it actually detracts from the story because it keeps talking every time. And it really is just detracting from the sense of peril and horror in most cases, because we know it's the bad guy talking. It makes that very clear, but it just sort of takes you out of the situation a little too much. The bad guys themselves give kind of a Silent Hill look to it. One's got giant scissors to cut people up, and it does injure one of the party, but other than that, there's this overpowered sense that there is no hope, because whatever this force is that's going after them is able to teleport them. Well, what's the point then? Because they could just be teleported right into a closed store full of monsters. Boom, done in one issue. And that sense of lack of hope is what actually hurts the book, because if there's no real chance of them escaping, knowing that they could be teleported at any given second, then there's really no point to it. It ends with this sort of surreal cliffhanger ending, but also implies that there's no chance that they could ever escape, because they could be just teleported to the top of a pillar and fall off, or into a room full of monsters, and then they're going to die immediately. So that level of hopelessness is a bit too far to put in issue 1. The fact that the bad guys could do that makes it completely pointless to even read issue 2, because they could just be, like I said, thrown in a room full of monsters and killed immediately. Why do I need to read that? That's pretty much a foregone conclusion, isn't it? They do allude to somebody being there that could help them, but that really doesn't change the fact that there is largely a power that's well beyond anything they can overcome in the mall. I didn't have a problem with the book overall. I think the narrator should have been cut out because the caption boxes feel too much like a voiceover, and it detracts heavily from the sense of peril and the unknown aspect. But I don't think it was worth $4 because of the problems that I saw with it. It was neat that they interspersed like old advertisements with the current look of the mall, so you get this juxtaposition of its brighter days and its current despair. But I think that it was overwhelmed by the overpowered bad guy and the narration. Those were the two elements I just could not get away from through this entire thing. Otherwise, it's not a bad story. It's kind of a generic slasher film feel or zombie book, but it could have been better, and it definitely needed to have somebody make some command decisions that these elements are a little too overpowered and you need to dial it back. Maybe have them get separated earlier on by some monsters instead of having this overwhelming ability to just teleport them everywhere. That's an overwhelming ability that is just too powerful for this scenario. If they had that much power, there would have been more people dead immediately in issue 1, because what's the point of toying with them? So I think this could have been a much better story if they had dialed back the power level of the bad guys. So unfortunately, I'm probably not going to recommend it. If you do pick this up, get it out of a discount bin. It might be better that way, and the flaws of the book will be a little bit more diminished by the lack of cost. Otherwise, this is obviously a movie script that just didn't make it and is meant to be read as a collected work, but I'm not that interested. I might pick up another issue if I grab it out of a dollar bin, but beyond that, I'm not spending $4 on this. There's just too much here that is a flaw and not enough to really pull me in. So an interesting idea that just doesn't come together because they're trying too hard to make the bad guy overpowered. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.